So before we start, does anybody like to share anything?
I can sing a song.
Yes.
Tasting. Should I start? Okay. परम करुणा बहुतुई जनानी ताए गौर चंद्र सब अवतारा सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंड भज भज भाई चैतन्य निताई सुदृढ़ विश्वास खोरी विषय छाड़िया सेरा से मजिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवने नाय निमोना दयाल दाता पशु पाखी छुरे पाषाण विदरे शुनि चंद्र गुण गाथा संसारे मजिया रोहिली पड़िया से पदे नहीं लो आशा आपन करमा भुंजाए शमना कहो ए लोचन दासा परम करुणा बहुदुई जना निताय गौर चंद्र सब अवतारा सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंड. Translation. The two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduced a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari without any motive. My dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. But Lochan Das regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification. Since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. So Lochan Das is saying that incarnations in the form of Lord Nitai and Gaurachandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they are very merciful. And the special significance of this incarnation is that they have given this process of chanting and dancing, Krishna consciousness, which is Prabhupada says chanting, dancing, and feasting, and you can go back home, back to Godhead. It's a very joyful process, very easy process that they have given us in Kali Yuga. And so we should have firm faith in Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and if we want to experience joy in this process, then we have to give up sense gratification. Like Prabhupada says, sense gratification and advancement in Krishna consciousness go ill together. So we cannot have both. And you simply have to chant Hare Krishna unconditionally, without any motive, without asking anything in return, just Krishna Prem. And within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And such mercy they show, like there's so many examples, Jagai and Madai, um, and Vasudev leper, and even to the Mayavadis, Prakashana and Saraswati. So many mercy. I mean, to the thieves also, as we were reading Lord Nityananda. So, looking at their mercy, even the birds and beasts are crying and stones are melting. But I am even worse than these birds and beasts because I'm not getting attracted to this moment because I'm engaged in sense gratification. So, Lochan Das is regretting that. I don't have any taste for Krishna, for Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so we will read Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are on Canto 3, Chapter 12, Creation of the Kumaras and the Others, and this is verse number 26. Hridhi kamo bhruva krodha lobhaschadhara dchadat asyadvak sindhavo medhran nirritti payur aghashrayah. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma. Anger from between his eyebrows. Greed from between his lips. The power of speaking from his mouth. The ocean from his penis. And low and abominable activities from his anus. The source of all sins. A conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desires for low activities until one is in the line of devotional service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows, whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. A devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. The power of speaking is called Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, and the birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahma. Even if a man is endowed with favor of goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire and his eyebrows to display symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in mundane estimation, but that does not mean he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. Okay, so Prabhupada is saying that one may be very learned and knowledgeable, but That doesn't mean that he has no contamination of lust and anger. And that's why there is different processes to control the mind. But because the devotee always has the Lord in his mind is automatically controlled. The pure devotee. The pure devotee is always engaged in the thought of the Lord. So he is in samadhi. And for him, he he doesn't have to conquer lust and anger. I mean, it's already conquered because his mind is already focused on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For others, they have to do some mechanical process like focusing the mind between the eyebrows, like that. So we cannot be desireless. And some others say that we should become desireless, but this theory of becoming desireless is not correct because the living entity cannot be desireless because that is the nature of the living entity to desire. Desirelessness means to become free from material desires. And the pure devotee has only desires related to Krishna. Whatever he does, all his activities are for the satisfaction of the Lord. So, whether he speaks, whether he goes to work, whatever he does, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was also a high court judge. Right? He was a judge, not high court, but whatever the court he had, he was a magistrate in British government. So, but he's a pure devotee. So everything is connected with Krishna. So Yukta Vairagya principle. So only the pure devotees have good qualities. And those who are devotees in the making, they have good qualities and bad qualities, a mixture of good and bad qualities, because they are not completely pure yet. But when one becomes pure devotee, there is only good qualities. So all the 26 qualities and the qualities that Krishna mentions in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they develop in the heart or they are manifested by the devotee who has completely become, who has become 100% pure. Okay, so that's what this verse is saying. Sometimes there are learned people, but their knowledge, like yesterday we were discussing about Romarshan Sutta, Balaramji said, yes, all this knowledge has not produced any good qualities in him. Although he's the disciple of Vyasadeva and he's so learned, but all this learning has not produced any good qualities like humility, and he sensed that he was very proud. So good qualities or learning and everything should produce qualities like humility, tolerance, forgiveness. So then one is said to have been practicing Krishna consciousness properly. Like Prabhupada said, right, how will you recognize a devotee? He says a perfect gentleman. It means a pure devotee. So nobody can find any fault in a pure devotee because he's, and even the Goswamis, they were, respected by the gentle, the dhira, adhira, janapriya, priya karo. So they were dear to both the gentle and the ruffians. So, like that. If we don't have good qualities, that means there is contamination in the heart, and we have to keep chanting, doing devotional service. Like Prabhupada says here that it is very difficult to give up lust and the desires for low activities until one is in the line of devotional service to the Lord. So, devotional service of the Lord will purify the heart, and it will take time. Uh, it's not like overnight it happens. It can happen, but generally it takes time because our devotional service is also not purely done. So, it can take some time. That's why we are advised to be patient and but enthusiastically practice bhakti. And when the Lord's mercy will come, then everything will be possible. When He's pleased with our seva. So we have to do devotional service in the consciousness that I want to please Krishna. And then when Krishna is pleased, then He gives His mercy. And that mercy will remove all the contamination, the heart. Of course, it's not like we don't have to try. Prabhupada also said, God helps those who help themselves. So we have to try, and Krishna, when he is pleased, then He will give His mercy also. Okay, so that's all we know. We have to constantly endeavor to become pure. The highest devotion is achieved in slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization. So devotee is constantly trying or praying. Okay. Anything else you would like to say? Yes. Next verse. छाया कर्दमो जग्ने देवहुत्या पति प्रभु मनसो देहतश्चिदम जग्ने विश्वकृतो jagat. The sage Kardam, husband of the great Devahuti, was manifested from the shadow of Brahma. Thus all became manifested from either the body or the mind of Brahma. Although one of the three modes of material nature is always prominent, they are always alloyed with one another. Even in the most prominent existence of the two lower qualities, the mode of passion and ignorance, there is sometimes a tinge of the mode of goodness. Like Jagai and Madhai, they were in the mode of ignorance, passion. But there was some tinge of goodness in Jagai when he said he stopped Madhai from hitting Nityananda. Some goodness was there. So even in the mode of passion and ignorance, there is sometimes a tinge of the mode of goodness. Therefore, all the sons generated from the body or the mind of Brahma were in the mode of passion and ignorance, but some of them, like Kardama, were born in the mode of goodness. Narad was born in the transcendental state of Brahman. So different manifestations came from Brahma in different modes of nature. Narad Muni was in the transcendental mode, beyond the modes, and Kardama was in the mode of goodness. Others were in the mode of passion and ignorance, like that. Vacham duhittaram tanvim swayambhur haratim manaha akamam chakame shaktaha sakama iti naha shrutam. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body and who attracted his mind towards sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. Balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam api karshati. It is said that the senses are so mad and strong that they can bewilder even the most sensible and learned man. Therefore, it is advised that one should not indulge in living alone, even with one's mother, sister, or daughter. Vidvamsam api karshati. Karshati also is struggle, right? We have manashashtani indriyani, prakriti sthani karshati. Agitates, struggle or agitate here. It is said, Matra swashra duhitrava navivikta asano. Navivikta asano bhavet. Asan means sitting place. So it is said one should not sit on the same place, close in a secluded place, like that. Matra swashra duhitrava, with one's mother, with one's sister, or one's daughter. Balavan Indriya Gramo, because the senses are very strong. And even if one is very vidwan, very learned, one can be agitated. They can bewilder even the most sensible and learned men. Therefore, it is advised that one should not indulge in living with even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter. Vidvamsam api karshati means that even the most learned also become victims of the sensuous urge. Maitreya hesitated to state this anomaly on the part of Brahma, who was sexually inclined to his own daughter, but still he mentioned it. Because sometimes it so happens, and the living example is Brahma himself, although he is the primeval living being and the most learned within the whole universe. If Brahma could be a victim of the sexual urge, then what of others who are prone to so many mundane frailties? This extraordinary immortality on the part of Brahma was heard to have occurred in some particular kalpa. But it could not have happened in the kalpa in which Brahma heard directly from the Lord the four essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Lord blessed Brahma after giving him lessons on the Bhagavatam that he would never be bewildered in any kalpa whatsoever. So it was in some other kalpa. This indicates that before hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he might have fallen victim to such sensuality. But that after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. One should, however, take serious note of this incident. The human being is a social animal, and his unrestricted mixing with the fair sex leads to downfall. Such social freedom of man and woman, especially among the younger section, is certainly a great stumbling block on the path of spiritual progress. Material bondage is due only to sexual bondage, and therefore unrestricted association of man and woman is surely a great impediment. Maitreya cited this example on the part of Brahma just to bring to our notice this great danger. So he should not have mentioned Brahma is a great personality, but Maitreya is mentioning this just to warn us that how unrestricted mixing of men and women can lead to the downfall. Prabhupada said sometimes that man is like butter and woman is like fire. If you put butter close to fire, then the butter is going to melt. So you cannot say that I'll keep butter close to fire and the butter will not melt. Butter will melt in the presence of fire. So that is why there should be only as much as necessary association with the opposite gender, because it can lead to one's agitation of the senses and things like that. And this whole material world is because of this Maithuna, the desire for sense gratification, Maithuna Agar. It is the shackle, Agar is the prison house of this sex desire. And that's why the four Varnas are there. Ashramas, rather. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. And they are meant to basically regulate, like Brahmachari is meant to control lust. As Grihastha, one is trained to regulate lust. And as Vanaprastha, one is meant to detach from lust. And as Sannyasi, one is meant to forget lust. So this is Prabhupada says, this is the bondage in this material existence, which is a perverted reflection of our pure love for Krishna. Like in the third in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, love of Krishna transforms into lust. Just like milk, when it is in contact with a sour substance, it it becomes curd. So, so this is what this verse is saying. So, so yesterday also, I think we were hearing that, like a tortoise withdraws his senses from the sense objects. So whenever there are temptations, the transcendentalist should withdraw his senses and focus on Krishna so that he doesn't get agitated by the senses. He should not focus the senses on the sense objects. So that will cause him to deviate from Krishna consciousness. And one should avoid situations where the fall down can happen. You want to say something? Anybody else like to say anything?
Right, I was saying avoid coming face to face with temptations because we'll become weak. Like the example I gave was that of Vali. Whoever would come in front of him would become weak, and Vali becomes stronger because of the benedictions. So we should not be overconfident that no, it would not affect me because that's the fools. They fall down because they're overconfident.
Fools rush in where angels fear to tread.
Yeah, fools tread in where angels fear to. Or fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And Prabhupada says, my disciples are not sufficiently afraid of Maya. So we should be afraid of falling down.
Thank you. Anything else on this verse?
I think there is a pastime of Jaimini Rishi in this regards. Like he heard this verse and he said, oh, nothing can happen to me. And he asked, Vyasadeva was his teacher. He said, I am a pure brahmachari. This can never impact me. I have control over myself. So Vyasadeva said, okay, I'm going somewhere. I'll come after a few days. And so Vyasadeva went away, and then one night Jaimini Rishi was returning to his ashram. There was a lot of rain, and he saw a girl in the rain, and the girl said, I had no place to live. Can I live in your ashram? He said, how can you live in our ashram? There's only males. So she said, it's only one night. And he said, okay, you can go into my room. You lock the room, and anybody who knocks, you don't allow him to come inside. So Jaimini Rishi, the girl was inside the room, and Jaimini Rishi was sleeping outside. And he started meditating on the girl and her beauty, and then lust arose in him, and he knocked at the door, and the girl said, I cannot allow you to come in. So he said, it's my room, you should allow me. And then he climbed up the room through the window. He went inside and he started to embrace the girl. And suddenly it was Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva had taken the form of the girl, and he slapped him. And he said, now you understand? You were so confident saying that you have control over your senses. So he was very embarrassed. So I heard this pastime from Adigadar Prabhu. It's there in some scripture.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's like saying, Prabhupada is saying, if Brahma could be a victim, what of others? So, such learned personalities. So, it's like that. So, one should never think, one should always feel vulnerable. And one should, better to be safe than sorry. So, one should not think that, I am very, advanced devotee and this and that, whatever I've been. So, anybody can be victimized. Okay.
And we gave the example of Ajamil and Kal Krishna Das yesterday. Kal Krishna Das was with the Supreme Lord. Still he got deviated. And Ajamil was a nice Brahmana. But because he contemplated on the scene, so it all starts with contemplation. And and giving our mind, not controlling the mind, not bringing it back to the lotus feet of Krishna, but letting it go, contemplate on sense gratification. Then the lust arises. So we should catch the mind wherever it wanders, bring it back. And we should build our intelligence, and that will help control the mind. That there is no love in the material world. We actually looking for Krishna in others.
Correct.
And like this, as you said, love is converted to lust, and it will eventually lead to miseries, right? Yehi samsparsha bhogal dukkha evate. Even there might be some enjoyment in sense gratification, but that very enjoyment is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyment.
Correct.
Building that intelligence, we can control the mind.
Yes. Thank you. Good points. Then when we hear, then we have to also, after hearing, we have to apply in our life all those things. And these warnings are given. So, okay. Okay, so the next verse. तमधर्मे कृतमतिं विलोक्य पितरं सुतः मारीचिमुख्य मुनयो विश्रम्भात् प्रत्यबोधयन्. Thus, finding their father so deluded in an act of immorality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. So, Marichi was the son, and they found Brahma in such a situation. So, the sages like Marichi were not in the wrong, submitting their protests against the acts of their great father. They knew very well that even though their father committed a mistake, there must have been some great purpose behind the show, otherwise, such a great personality could not have committed such a mistake. So, sometimes Krishna also makes us commit mistakes, and through that, we are supposed to learn our lesson. It might be that Brahma wanted to warn his subordinates about human frailties in their dealings with women, which are always very dangerous for persons who are on the path of self realization. Therefore, great personalities like Brahma, even when in the wrong, should not be neglected, nor could the great sages headed by Marichi show any disrespect of his extraordinary behavior. So maybe Krishna is using him as an example, or Brahma is, through his own example, he's warning everybody. Therefore, great personality like Brahma, even when in the wrong, should not be neglected, nor could the great sages headed by Marichi show any disrespect because of his extraordinary behavior. Okay. Next verse. Neitat purvai kritam tvadye na karisyanti chapare yastvam duhitaram gaccher anigriha angajam prabhu. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in the previous kalpas. Nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe, so how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? The The post of Brahma is the supermost post in the universe, and it appears that there are many Brahmas and many universes besides the one in which we are situated. One who fills this post must be ideal in behavior, for Brahma set the example for all living entities. Brahma, the living entity who is the most pious and spiritually elevated, is entrusted with a post next to that of the personality of Godhead. So only those who are very highly qualified They are appointed to the post of Brahma, and Brahma has to be very ideal in behavior. So the sons of Brahma are saying that how can you be in this kind of situation? Okay. Tejayasam, Tejayasam, apihiyetan na slukshoyam jagadguru yadvritam anutishtan vai lokaha kshemaya kalpate. O spiritual master of the universe, even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. It is said that a supremely powerful living entity can do anything and everything he likes, and such acts do not affect him in different way. For example, the sun, the most powerful fiery planet in the universe, can evaporate water from anywhere and still remain as powerful. The sun evaporates water from filthy places and yet is not infected with the quality of the filth. Similarly, Brahma remains unimpeachable in all conditions, but still, since he is the spiritual master of all living entities, his behavior and character should be so ideal that people will follow such sublime behavior and derive the highest spiritual benefit. Therefore, he should not have acted as he did. So, yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tadeva tarujana sayat pramanam krute lokas tadanuvartate. Krishna says, whatever great leaders do, then the common men follow. So, great leaders like Brahma, they have to show by example for others. So, he should not have acted in this way. Although he is very great and he is unimpeachable, but he should not have acted in this way. Tasmai namo bhagavate ya idam svena rochisa Atmastam Venjayam Asa Sadharmam Patum Arhati. That's why in our temple sometimes the people say why there is men on one side and women on the other side. Why should we have not? We are all spirit souls and we should all be together and there should be no but we are spirit souls, but we are still in the bodily conception of life. We have not realized completely that we are spirit souls, and we are not on that very high platform. And even if we are in high platform, then to show by example, that's why there is the men are sit on one side and the women sit on the other side when there is class going on and there is bifurcation. So there is even they have separate restrooms for men and women like that. So everywhere that's kind of the segregation is there. So this is otherwise it will result in relationships and there will be unwanted progeny as Arjuna says, there will be Varna Shankara and all these things will happen and create chaos. Let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested this cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. Lust for sexual intercourse is so strong that it appears herein that Brahma could not be dissuaded from his determination in spite of the appeal by his great sons like Marichi. So even though Marichi said he could not be. Therefore the great sons began to pray to the Supreme Lord for the good sense of Brahma. So Krishna says lust covers one's intelligence. Avritam jnanam etena jnanino nitya vairina kama rupena kontiya dushpurina nalina chain. It's a fire that burns which is never satisfied and it covers the knowledge of the living entity. So in spite of the sons of Brahma trying to convince him, he could not be diverted from his determination. Therefore, then they started praying to the Supreme Lord for the good sense of Brahma. It is only by the grace of the Supreme Lord that one can be protected from the allurement of lusty material desires. The Lord gives protection to devotees who are always engaged in His transcendental loving service, and by His causeless mercy, He forgives the accidental fall of a devotee. Therefore, sages like Marichi prayed for the mercy of the Lord, and their prayer was fruitful. Okay, so the sons of Brahma prayed, and their prayer was fruitful in the sense that Brahma got good sense. Krishna only gives good sense in the heart. Saitham Grinata Putran Puro Drishva Prajapatin Prajapati Patistanvam Tatyaja Vrididas Tada Tam Disho Jagrur Ghoram Niharam Yad Vidustama. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later, that body appeared in all directions as the dangerous fog in darkness. The best way to compensate for one's sinful acts is to give up one's body at once. And Brahma, the leader of the living entities, showed this by his personal example. Brahma has a fabulous duration of life, but he was obliged to give up his body due to his grievous sin, even though he had merely contemplated in his mind without having actually done it. This is a lesson for the living entities, showing how sinful an act it is to indulge in unrestricted sex. Even to think of an abominable sex is sinful. And to compensate for such acts, one has to give up his body. Like we have Chota Haridas. In other words, one's duration of life, blessings, opulence, etc. are decreased by sinful acts. And the most dangerous type of sinful act is unrestricted sex. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of gross ignorance. So, because of ignorance, we do sinful life, and when we are in sinful life, then we are in ignorance. So it's round. The feature of ignorance is the darkness or fog. Darkness or fog still covers the whole universe, and the sun is the only counteracting principle. One who takes shelter of the Lord, the perpetual light, has no fear of being annihilated in the darkness of fog or ignorance. So, Krishna samas Surya, Maya hoy andhakar. Yaha Krishna taha nahi Maya radhikar. So, if you are in light, then there is no question of darkness. Okay. So, even to think is considered sinful, and what to speak of actually doing it. And Prabhupada says that the way to compensate for such acts is to give up one's body. And yeah, but in this, like Vishnujan Maharaj, right? Vishnujan Maharaj had, after he took sannyas, he was speaking with his wife, former wife, or something like that. He asked Prabhupada, so what should one do? And then Prabhupada says, yeah, one should give up one's body. And then he said that, well, I cannot, what did he say? Yes, but this is not possible for Lord Nityananda's mercy is there. How can I? This is not. And then Vishnujan Maharaj didn't hear that. This is not possible in this. But Vishnujan Maharaj went, and he went to Allahabad, in the Prayag, where the confluence of the three rivers are there, and he gave up his life. They say like that. He was not to be found. And so, when Prabhupada heard about it, he was not very happy. He was not happy at all. He should not have done this. So, Nityananda Prabhu said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you want to kill Jagai and Madai, you might kill everybody in this age, because everybody is like Jagai and Madai in this age. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Mahaprabhu, they are merciful. That doesn't mean we don't try to improve. Um, Prabhupada says here, yeah, if there is an accidental fall down, then the Lord forgives. That was in the previous verse. By His causeless mercy, He forgives. But it's not like that we keep doing and then we think that I'm a devotee, so it's all right. Krishna will forgive me. Like that. We have to try to improve in our character. To try, of course, that verse is there from the 11th canto. That one should repent and regret and try to improve. Otherwise, Prabhupada says is not a very high devotee. So, yeah, it is anarthas are strong, and that's why prevention is better than cure. So, we should not put ourselves in, we should recognize our anarthas, and we should not put ourselves in a situation where those anarthas can be aggravated, means they can be increased. Everybody has the anarthas, but we should prevent ourselves. Prevention is better than cure, they say. So prevent ourselves to be coming in the situations where those anarthas can be aggravated, increased. Okay. Anything else? Verse.
Also, we can't judge everyone. There's that pastime of the sons of Marichi, right, laughing at Brahma at this point, and they got cursed to become the sons of Kalnemi, and then became the Sadgarbhas in the womb of Devaki. They had to suffer so much because they made an offense.
They were the sons of Hiranyaksha, and then, right, something is there,
The
Hiranyaksha.
sons of demon Kalnemi, because Kalnemi became Kans.
Correct. Also, there is Kalanemi also comes into the picture, and then they were also the sons of Hiranyaksha, where Hiranyakashipu curses them because they went to seek the favor of Brahma without his permission. He became very upset and he cursed them that your father will kill you or something. So then, yeah.
So even if we think that some Vaishnav has made a mistake, unless we are not, we should not, behave incorrectly with them. Like let Krishna handle. We should not offend because Vaishnavira Kriya Mudra Vikena Bujaya, right? Even that is the case. So we don't know how the Vaishnavas, their elevated nature, why they're behaving the way they are. So we're not supposed to judge.
Unless we have to your GBC or something, they take action against you know somebody, like, because they have to see the society and everything like that, so they have to.
Yeah, I think this pastimes comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling a Brahmana about Vaishnava Prad.
Yeah, and before we point out faults in others, we also have faults in us. So look at faults in us. So that is also that's described. We should be worried about our own spiritual life rather than worry if we are not in a position of like others. Then, yeah, but if something grossly is being done wrong, like in the movement, is affecting people, and somebody is abusing somebody, then it has to be stopped. So you can report it to the authorities and they can take action, whatever needs to be done to stop that abuse from happening. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the next verse will be, what is the tiny dog? Okay. Kadachit dhyayata shrashtu veda asham chaturmukhat katham shakshyami aham lokan sumavetan yatha pura. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds, as in the past millennium, the four Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, were manifested from his four mouths. As a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated, so by the grace of the Lord, the fire of Brahma's greatness consumed his desire for the sinful act of sex with his daughter. So the fire of Krishna consciousness can burn away all the sinful desires in the heart. The Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world, Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavai. While Brahma was thinking of recreating, means at the end of his night, he has to again recreate whatever was annihilated. Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord, and the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotee if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotional service. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11.542 confirms this as follows. Swapadamulam bhajata priyasya tyaktva bhavasya hari pareshah vikarmayat chotpattitam kathanchit dunoti sarvam hridi sannivishtaha. Any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of God and Hari, and the Lord, being situated in the heart of the devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. It was never expected that a great personality like Brahma would ever think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The example shown by Brahma suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon anyone, even Brahma. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment, but by the grace of the Lord, he did not lose his prestige as the great Brahma. Okay, so apichet sudvaracharo bhajate mamananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. Krishna says, somebody is engaged in devotional service with determination, then even if he's committed the most abominable act, he should be still considered saintly. Because very soon, because of his engagement in devotional service, he'll be corrected. He'll be corrected and he'll come back on the right path. And he'll become righteous. Shipram bhavati dharmatma sashvat shantim nikachati. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So, it may take some time. It says quickly, but it may take some time. But remain engaged in devotional service with a desire to improve. With a desire to improve and praying to Krishna, one remains engaged in devotional service. Then all the discrepancies, aberrations, anarthas will go away. One will become pure. So, okay. Only thing is, one should not think that I am devotee, that's why I can commit sins deliberately. That is the seventh offense then. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. Chaturhotram karma tantram upaveda naisaha dharmasya padas chatvaras tatheva ashrama vrittaya. The four kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice became manifest. The performer, the offerer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of the supplementary Vedas. Also, the four principles of religiosity, truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, and the duties in the four spiritual orders all became manifest. Okay. So, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating are the four principles of material bodily demands, which are common to both the animals and human society. Ahara nidra bhaya methuna samanya detat pashubhi naranam. To distinguish human society from the animals, there is performance of religious duties in terms of one's social status and spiritual orders of life, or ashram dharma. These social and spiritual divisions are all clearly mentioned in Vedic literatures and were manifested by Brahma when the four Vedas were generated from his four mouths. Thus, the duties of humankind in terms of social status and spiritual order were established to be observed by the civilized man. Those who traditionally follow these principles are called Aryans or progressive human beings. So, in the human life, there is Varnashram Dharma, and those who follow, they are considered human beings. Okay, so next verse. Vidura said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how and with whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. Maitreya said, beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva, became manifest. Thereafter, Vedic hymns, which had not been pronounced before, priestly rituals, the subject matters of recitation, and the transcendental activities were all established one after another. He also created the medical science, military art, musical art, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front face. The Vedas contain perfect knowledge, which include all kinds of knowledge necessary for the human society, not only for on this particular planet, but on other planets as well. It is understood that military art is also necessary knowledge for the upkeep of the social order, as is the art of music. All these groups of knowledge are called the Upavedas or supplements of the Vedas. Spiritual knowledge is the main topic of the Vedas, but to help the human being's spiritual pursuit of knowledge, the other information, as above mentioned, forms necessary branches of the Vedic knowledge. Like we have the main subject matter of the Vedas is Atma Gyan and relationship of the soul with Krishna. But there are other sub branches which also help us live, like we have Ayurveda and Dhanurveda and all these different branches which are helping to maintain good health and like that, so that we can pursue spiritual knowledge and yeah, practice of spiritual knowledge. Okay. Then he created the fifth Veda, the Puranas and the histories, from all his mouths, since he could see all the past, present, and future. There are histories of particular countries and nations and of the world, but the Puranas are the histories of the universe, not only in one millennium, but in many kalpas. Brahma has knowledge of those historical facts, and therefore all Puranas are histories. As originally composed by Brahma, they are part of the Vedas and are called the fifth Veda. Okay, so
And the Bhagavad Gita comes in this.
Bhagavatam, yeah, is the Puranas and the histories. It says the fifth Veda is the Puranas and histories. So Bhagavad Purana is also Purana itself means Purana. Purana means old, means history. Ah, what did you ask? I didn't. Yeah. What was the question?
I was saying Bhagavatam Puran came here in this category.
Hmm. Okay. Yes.
Fifth Veda.
Yeah. Okay. You are saying yeah. Yeah. All the different varieties of fire sacrifices, the Shodasi, Ukta, Purushi, Agnishtoma, Aptoryam, Atiratra, Vajapeya, and Kosova sacrifice were manifested from the eastern mouth of Brahma. Education, charity, penance, and truth are said to be the four legs of religion, and to learn this religion, there are four spiritual orders of life, along with different classifications of castes according to vocation. Brahma created all this in systematic order. The nucleus of the four spiritual orders, brahmacharya or student life, grihastha or householder life, family life, vanaprastha or retired life for practicing penance and sannyas, or renounced life for preaching the truth, consists of the four legs of religion. So brahmacharya is education, charity is grihastha, penance is vanaprastha, and sannyas is like the truth. Renounced life for preaching the truth, propagating the truth, consists of the four legs of religion. The vocational divisions are the Brahmanas or the intelligent class, the Kshatriyas or administrative class, the Vaishyas or mercantile productive class, and the Shudras or general laborer class, who have no specific qualifications. All were systematically planned and created by Brahma for the regular promotion of self realization. Student life is meant for acquiring the best education, and the best education is that which pertains to Krishna. And who are we and what is our relationship with Krishna? So, brahmacharya is meant for acquiring knowledge. Household family life is meant for gratifying the senses, provided it is performed with a charitable disposition of mind. Retirement from household life is meant for penance and for advancement in spiritual life. And renounced life is meant for preaching the absolute truth to the people in general. The combined action of all members of society make this whole situation favorable for the fulfillment of the mission of human life. The beginning of this social institution is based on education meant for purifying the human being of the animal propensities. The highest purificatory process is the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the purest of the pure. Okay, so this is Sansiddhir Haritoshanam. That's all Varnashram is meant for, satisfying Hari, so that we can have nice order in the society and everybody can be peaceful and they can all progress back home, back to Godhead. In this material world, there is always the danger of falling down because we are in the kingdom of Maya. There is always the danger falling down. There is danger at every step. Not only there is danger, physical danger, but there is always the danger of falling down because this is the kingdom of the illusory energy. And we have come, having coming to this material world means we have fallen. We have fallen from our constitutional position. That's why we are in this. Otherwise, we won't be in the material world. Like Lord Chaitanya said, how the very fact that I am living means I have no love for Krishna. Otherwise, I would have died. The very fact that I am living in this material existence, I think he said like that. So, the very reason we are here is because we have turned away from Krishna. So, yeah, this material world is, we are meant to get out of this material existence, go back to the spiritual. There is nothing to be really done in this material world, which is dukhalayam. It is, you can't, what are you going to do in a house which is full of misery? You're trying to enjoy, but how can that be possible? It is certified as a house of misery. So that's why we are trying to enjoy in so many ways, but our attempts are not working out. They are turning out to be futile. We can have some experience in our life of this. So we should give up the endeavor to enjoy in this material world. Then we will be happy. Prahlad Maharaj says, one who gives up the desire to become happy by material enjoyment, in this material world is happy person. As soon as he desires to enjoy the material world and the sense gratification, then his life of misery begins. So, so then where we will find our enjoyment? Find our enjoyment in serving the Lord. That's the ideal situation. But since we don't find that much enjoyment in service to the Lord, we are still looking for other kinds of enjoyment. And this will make me happy, that will make. Like George Harrison says, everybody is looking for Krishna, but not finding Krishna. They are trying to find that same happiness in some other thing of this world. We are trying to substitute Krishna with something else and feel that we are going to be happy. That will never work out. It has never worked out for anybody. It will never work out for anyone. Because that is not our constitutional position, and we remain in the cycle of birth and death. And we keep struggling and coming back and trying with the hope that now this time it will work out, this time it will work out. Prabhupada says, yeah, you've been trying to enjoy for so many lifetimes, but you are still not satisfied. Now just give this one life to Krishna. So that conclusion, to come to that, is not so easy. Because we are thinking that somehow, yeah, there is something left in this world. Okay, one who comes to that conclusion, then he offers his life to Krishna. Then he loses all hope for. Okay. So those who have taken sannyas, they have lost all hope of. So they are 100% dedicated to the Lord's service. That's why it is considered the highest of all the ashramas, because they are 100% engaged. They have given up all material enjoyment. That's why whenever we see sannyasi, we should bow down. They have given up the hope that sense gratification in the form of fulfilling one's lusty desires can give happiness, which is the greatest binding force for everybody in this material world. And they have given up that very thing that binds everyone. So they are considered like they have given up that desire. So that's why they are considered great souls. And all other desires for all those desires for other material enjoyment starts with this desire. As it is this guy, Pumsa Striya Mithuni Bhavametam. It starts with this desire. Tayor Mitho Hridaya Granthi Mahu. Ato Griha Kshetra Sutapta Vityar Janasya Mohayam Aham Mameti. All begins with this desire, and the material life begins with this. And then one desires this, that, so many things. All other material desires come one after another. But this is the root cause of all the material desires. Okay.
Okay. The four legs of religion are these different from the four legs of dharma, the bull that we're discussing. This education and charity is different. Austerity and truthfulness is the same. Instead of mercy and cleanliness.
You said education. Austerity is penance, right? And then cleanliness is the truth.
Mm-hmm. No, there's truthfulness also.
Oh, there is truthfulness, correct. Yeah.
This is in reference to the ashramas. Like the brahmachari ashram is meant for education, grahastha is meant for charity, manaprastha for penance, and sannyas for spreading the truth.
Correct. Yeah, and then the other way it is described is for austerity. This is for all the ashram: austerity, cleanliness, mercy. It's like the four regulative principles you have to follow in all the ashrams. whether you're brahmachari or grihastha, vanaprastha or sannyas. So, but then you have your specific duty in your brahmachari ashram. It's like you do education. Grihasthas are meant to give charity because the other three ashrams are not having any money to support the other three ashrams. Grihasthas are meant to support brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyas. Yeah. Yeah, these are related to ashram, and those of four are related to all the maybe. But then, yeah, here it says we have segregated into the four ashrams. Anyhow, all these are good things only. Whichever. Like there should be penance even in the grihastha ashram. It doesn't mean that there is no penance in the grihastha ashram because there should be education even in the grihastha ashram because you are supposed to read the scriptures and learn. Although main thing is that in brahmacharya life you study, but it's kind of overlapping. Even grihasthas are supposed to preach the not only sannyas, but maybe mainly for the sannyasis like that. Yeah, it's the main, but they also overlap because other things are also there in the other ashrams. But the main thing is for them. Yeah. Education is not exclusive to brahmacharya ashram because grihasthas and vanaprasthas, they all have to study scriptures. Okay. Savitram prajapatyam cha brahmam chatha priyat tatha varta sanchaya shalina shiloncha iti vaikrihe. Then the thread ceremony for the twice born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocation in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. During student life, the brahmacharis were given full instructions about the importance of human form of life. Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. So, brahmacharis were given the education that don't get involved with family. Only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. But if the brahmachari was not or still inclined to associate with the opposite gender, then he was allowed to enter into the grihastha ashram. Otherwise, the student would remain a permanent brahmachari, observing complete abstinence from sex life for his whole life. It all depended on the quality of the student's training. We had the opportunity to meet such an avowed brahmachari in the person of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhantas Goswami Maharaj. Such a great soul is called a Naishtika brahmachari. Okay, so Prabhupada's general advice is that if you can remain brahmachari, then you should. If you can't, then you get married. And practice Krishna consciousness in the grihastha ashram. So like that. Okay. We'll stop here, I think. 24. Chant some rounds also. So anybody like to say anything? And do some chanting for an hour. You can chant if you have time, or you have to leave. It's understandable. To go. Chant. Okay.
Yes.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva